joining us. These are a few extra things that you're gonna need. Paint can opener, paper towels, a cup or a bowl of water, and a blue dryer would be awesome.
Let's test this out.
So we're just gonna leave the music playing and this up here. And we'll turn the music off when we get started so you'll hear me better. All right.
Let's just comment that. Did it tell you that? This one does.
Getting ready to start our big paint workshop, and so you're going to need to grab a few things. But if you've joined us already, just pop on and just say hi, tell me where you're from. So we're going to get started here soon, okay? Now that way we'll know when everybody's here with us before we get started, all right? Thanks. Mm-hmm. Drinking my sure. That's so funny. Like, okay, we're not gonna post that. Right. in. I can see that you're all joining us. Thanks for letting us know you're here. Again, grab these few things and let Hannah know. Actually, Hannah's here. She's gonna do the technical part, the camera work. So just let Hannah know that you're here and that you have all your supplies, and we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. Rid of our music. If you at all saw the last workshop that we posted, the coffee shop was open and the coffee grinder was going full time, and so it was a little tough to hear. So tonight it's going to be nice and quiet. So I'm Kathy, and I am going to be walking you through the workshop. And Hannah is over here, and she is going to be doing all our technical stuff. So if you have any questions while we're going through the process, please just send those over to Hannah, and she will ask those of me, and I'll answer the best I can. And hope everybody has all of these little items, and we're going to get started. It's going to be really fun. I didn't ask this last time, but as you're going through this process, tell me or think about how you're going to use this little box, because I thought it would be a fun thing to put your makeup in, or to use in your kitchen with your little tea and teacups and things like that. So let us know what you'd like to do with it. This is one that was finished. This is the one I did a few days ago, and here's another one that's done with the Aubusson Blue, and then this one was painted. Frame is the Chicago Gray. So tonight I think I'm going to do a Scandinavian pink. But you all have a box, and I'm just gonna open a new one because I'm gonna need a new one to fresh to start with. I just wanna show you, this was our big paint workshop. And let me tell you, the big paint workshop is an international workshop. So Annie has these workshops going on all over the world. And what's really fun is she just wanted to bring some, like joy. We've all been kind of closed up a little bit, haven't been out to see our friends. And so we're just gonna do a big global fun paint workshop. So Annie put together these kits, and in your kit, you have a paintbrush, you have a can of Scandinavian pink. And let me scoot this back just a little bit. So we have Scandinavian pink, we have Aubusson Blue, we have Chicago Gray, we have a little can of wax. Then, get rid of that. Inside, we have our stencil that we're going to use, which Annie created just for this, which is just lovely. And your box, your tray, if you will. So we're going to be painting. One of the lovely things about Annie Sloan's paint is that we don't have to sand, prime, or remove all varnish, so we can just get started painting. So choose your main color. What we're going to paint first is the entire box. So choose which color you think you want to use. And again, this was the Aubusson. And this one is Chicago Gray. So maybe whichever color will fit your house color scheme that you want to do. Okay? So, I'm going to get my little can opener. And I've got my brush ready here. This brush. I'm not going to open a fresh can. I'm going to open the ones I was using, but they're all the same as what we've been using here. Okay? And since I'm going to start with the Scandinavian pink, I'm just going to open my little can. So you go ahead and open the can that you're choosing to start with. And I just want to show you a little bit. So this can of paint, it's been sitting here for a little bit. Most of the time you don't even need to stir, but if there's a lot of water in that top of there, just grab a little pencil, or if you have a little spoon or something, just stir it in just a little bit. And if you don't have that, just take your brush and swirl it around, and that will do the same thing. Okay? So I'm going to use the Scandinavian pink. Watch this for just a moment. I'm going to paint in all directions. I'm not going to just go straight across. You could if you wanted to, but the beauty of Annie's paint is that we can just put it on. We want a nice even coat. The reason we grabbed our blow dryers is because there might be a few areas where it gets a little thick, and we'll just want to speed up the dry time just a little bit. So everybody get started painting. We will just talk our way through this. As you paint, I'm gonna just share a little bit about Annie Sloan and about the paint and all of those things. So you can just listen as we work our way through the painting of our box, okay? So this is Annie's 30th anniversary. She started this company, Annie Sloan Chalk Paint, 30 years ago. So she is the pioneer of chalk paint, and everyone out there is probably trying to do what she has done. If you see other chalk paints, they are not Annie Sloan, and they're trying to mimic what she has done because she's made such a beautiful brand and beautiful product. So we just are in love with this paint. Again, the reason we are loving it is because we didn't have to sand, we didn't have to prime, and we don't have to use stripper or anything like that to take off old paint. So we really like it for that reason. And as you're painting, you're probably noticing that there is no smell. Annie's paint is ultra low VOC. So if you, just for instance, if you decided to put fruit in this, once the wax is cured, it is food safe. So it's just all organic, and it just is a beautiful product. It has awesome coverage, if you haven't noticed that. If even painting a very, now I'm not painting a thick coat of paint, it's a pretty, just thin coat, not overly thin, but I'm not spreading it, but it just dries quickly, doesn't smell, it has great coverage, and then it's gonna dry fast, which is why we love it for this little project, because we won't have to spend a lot of time waiting for the paint to dry. So just another little perk to it. We are going to put a wax on after we've done our stencil, and the wax is put on so that it, first of all, the paint is a porous paint because it's a chalk paint, it's a limestone base. It's very porous, and if we didn't put a top coat, we would get, just say you put your fingers on here and they had something on them, it would absorb. And that's what it's going to do with the wax. It's going to absorb the wax. It's going to, and then once that wax cures, it'll get really hard, really durable. And so we do the two-step process for that reason. One of the things about the paint is that what we are doing tonight, this painting of the little tray here, is the exact same process we would do for painting furniture, painting kitchen cabinets, painting linoleum and tile, other than the wax. If you were doing your floors, you would use the lacquer, but pretty much the painting part is pretty standard. We're gonna do this on pretty much anything we would want to paint. And that is really nice because it's not a bunch of different techniques, it's just painting. And again, you don't have to be super fussy about your direction that you are painting. And so it just gives us a lot of creativity, a lot of potential to be really creative with our paint. Annie's paint has a lot of body and movement to it. And then we create brush strokes, and that even adds more interest and just some fun. We are not going to paint the bottom this evening. We're just going to paint the inside and then the outer edge. But if you want to come back, even tomorrow or later tonight, if you wanted to, you could paint the bottom edge of it. But we are not going to do that for this time that we're together. So we're just painting away. Now let me tell you about Annie. Okay, so she is a hoot. I loved during, it was last February, we were doing a live, she did a live video of her home with the Stockist, and it was so fun because she's so like real person, down to earth. She doesn't have a designer home, although she does have a designer home, but it's her design. And it was really fun because she was showing us pieces of furniture. And the one that I think of that comes to my mind was a Napoleonic blue table that she had painted, and she was just showing us, how, I painted this years ago and it's one of my favorites, and she's showing us through her home, and she takes her hand and she wipes across it, and she's like, just like touching it, and there was a little bit of dust. Okay, who does not have dust in their house, right? I do. So I was just really impressed that, she's taking us on a tour and she didn't dust her house and clean it, and I wish I was a little more like that once in a while. When I have company come over, I get kind of weird. But it's like, this is real. This is a real woman who has this awesome business, and She's just very, very personable, and she's wonderful to the Stockists. She's always encouraging us. She's always coming up with new products, new things for us to do, and so it's just fun. So I'm excited to go meet her. I think that'll be a hoot too. Oh, I have all of mine except for this top edge and this inside. How are you all doing with your painting? Anybody have any questions or feel like it isn't going on really well? If you don't respond to my little question here, that's okay. If you're painting and everything's going fine, you don't have to respond. But if you are having a little trouble, make sure you just give us a little shout here, and Hannah will let me know, and I'll answer your question about it. So make sure you get in the little handle area. And then I'm just gonna go along my top. So one of the things when you're painting on an edge like that, like I just did, make sure you come back and clean it up, because the edge of anything acts like a spatula and you kind of get a bead of paint. You wanna avoid that if you can, and just come back and clean that little edge up. And it's pretty easy to do. So I'll do that. Get a little paint on my edge. And sometimes I get it on my clothes. Even though I'm wearing an apron, I get it on my sleeves. So as long as I go home tonight and I wash that out, I don't have a problem with it coming out. But if I leave it for 24 hours or so, it's probably not coming out. So if you get any on your clothes, it is washable, but you just want to do it pretty quickly after you've painted. So, what else was I going to talk about? Hannah?
You mentioned that you were going to meet Annie.
Yeah, I'm going to meet Annie in July, Lord willing. We hope COVID is cleared up and that we can go.
What are you going on?
What am I going on? A trip to see Annie Sloan. What's it called?
I think it's just the Annie Sloan trip.
Yeah, Annie
It's
Sloan
through due
trip.
south.
Yeah. So we're still not 100% that it's gonna happen, but we're here. So mine is painted. You can see the center. I don't know if you want to look. The center of mine, where I started on the bottom of my tray, is just about dry, and then the rest of it is finishing up. So I'm just going to leave it here. We're going to let that dry for a minute. When everybody gets their tray painted, if you could let Hannah know that you've got it painted, and we'll kind of see if everybody's drying kind of the same, and if not, we'll break out those blow dryers. But it shouldn't take us too long to do that. At this point, when you're finished, you'll want to use that cup of water and rinse out your brush and get it cleaned up, so that because we're going to use the same brush to do our stenciling, all right? So go ahead and rinse it out, and just blot as much of the water out as you can with one of your paper towels, all right? So I'm going to just tell you a few things that I know I'm going to tell you later on, but I'll tell it to you now as well. So the cleanup, since you're going to wash your brush, the cleanup is just water. It doesn't have to be super hot water, just lukewarm water will do ya, and just run it under the, either put it in your cup and rinse it out really good, or run it under the faucet and just kind of use your hand to kind of rub it back and forth. Annie, we also carry these super awesome little scrubby soaps, and they work great, especially if you paint for a long period of time and the edges of your brush, the paint gets dried on and kind of crusty a little bit. The little scrubby soaps are awesome to get that off of there. We use them a lot, and then we use them on our hands, so they're pretty great. How's everybody doing with the drying? Is everybody finished painting? I should have asked that.
And if you don't want to comment, you can even do a little thumbs up.
Oh yeah, thumbs
you
up's
like.
great. That's awesome. Can you all hear me tonight? I didn't even ask that. I should have at the beginning. I guess you would have told me if you couldn't hear me, right? So. They're painting, Hannah. Everybody's painting.
Yeah.
Isn't painting so relaxing? I find it to be extremely relaxing, to be creative and to just, once you get started and you're just, putting paint on and you don't have to be fussy and think about it a lot, it can just be very, very relaxing. I'm gonna just keep talking. So I have some bedroom furniture that I need to paint, and because this is no smell, I just want to tell you that you can paint right in your bedroom, and so that's kind of nice. You don't have to drag everything down to the basement or out to the garage.
You can talk a little louder.
Talk a little louder. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. Ask Danae.
Yes.
She was doing a video earlier tonight, and apparently I was a little loud, so I don't have a problem with that. But you don't have to take this outside, and on top of that, you don't want to paint in an area, like if you have a piece of furniture in your garage, you do not want to paint it if it's been freezing every night. You want to get it up to room temperature. That's just standard paint. It doesn't matter if it's Annie Sloan or just anybody. That's just a standard thing. You want your 55-ish is probably about the lowest temperature you want. So you want to paint in a nice room temperature area if you can. I have someone who's going to do some painting. She told me in her motorhome, and she's just going to put a little heater in there, and then she'll be set to go. And so, just like you don't want to paint freezing, out in freezing temperatures, you also don't want to paint outside on a windy day. The paint will dry much too fast, and then you'll be disappointed with your results because your brush will be drying out, your paint will be drying out, and then you just won't get that nice smooth finish that you're looking for. Or in the direct sun, same thing. Wind and the sun kind of will be a little hard to paint in. But if you're ever painting and, once you've painted it, if you set it out there, it probably would be fine. Some other things I usually tell everybody when we're in our workshops. If you're painting, say, a picture frame or a mirror or a mirror but not one in your bathroom or places where you might touch it or things would splatter on it. But if you're painting something that's going to hang on a wall, you don't necessarily need to wax. The paint will cure and it'll be hard and it'll be fine. If you're painting a piece of furniture that you're going to put outside, you also don't want to wax it. You might, in that application, use some of Annie's lacquer, which is a top coat that dries hard, dries clear. There's a gloss and a matte finish, but those might be your better applications for sealing it. But there again, you don't want to paint, a flat table that sits out in the rain. That's just not good anywhere. So, but if you have a piece that you want to paint that's under a covered area, a covered porch, we painted some wicker chairs. I have some at my house on my porch that's wicker, and it sits on my porch, and for the most part it doesn't ever get any weather other than a little bit of sun. But we didn't seal that or anything like that. So those are your two options. You either can wax or you can do Annie's lacquer. And I'll tell you that all of us, Annie Sloan included, love the wax. All of her stockists who are all over the world, we all love the wax the best. The one thing about the wax is it takes a little bit of time to cure, and because of that, people are a little worried about it. I just tell people, just be a little gentle with your piece, but use it. Just don't drag things across or anything like that. So it's just a great finished product, and it feels so good when it's cured. It's just smooth and soft and really durable. And if you're going to do kitchen cabinets, you'll do 2 to 3 coats of wax because you need the extra durability that the wax provides. And you'll wait, say, a week in between wax coats, and you'll love your kitchen. It'll be awesome. So is everybody looking like they're about dry? I think mine is just about dry. Can y'all see that? Anybody responding to me?
Not yet, but soon will probably good.
Okay, tell you what I'm gonna do, and I don't know if you all have this also, right in my little corners, or my little edges here, there's a little space that isn't quite dry, and so I'm gonna step away for just a moment and grab that blow dryer, and I'm gonna blow dry my corners, so I'm not smearing any paint, even though the main flat area is dry. I just don't wanna be disturbing that little corner too. So I'm gonna grab it, it'll be a little noisy. Where did we go? There's my blue dryer. Alrighty.
They're almost dry, someone just said.
Okay.
You're getting there.
Oh, I don't have a plug. Oh. I will not be blow drying. We have all of our electronic devices plugged in, so that's okay. I'm not gonna hurt anything if I get a little heat. So, is everybody looking like they're okay?
Getting close.
Okay. And again, if you have a blow dryer and you just want to hit it really quickly, go right ahead. And then let me know when you're ready, okay? So everybody grab your blow dryer if you need to, and then we'll get started on the next step. And since I figure you're all going to be either blow drying or you're already dry, so drop us a little comment or a little thumbs up that you're dry. Because if you're blow drying, it's no point in me talking, right? So,
Very true.
very true. I don't want to tell you anything that you might miss and then go, oh, I didn't get that. So, but if you are dry, you could do this. We're going to go ahead and open up these colors of the other colors. Actually, keep your, whatever your main color was, keep that one open as well. And then we're just going to open up these 3. Or 2 of the colors, I guess it is. And there we go. And there we go. And you're going to want to have your paper towels handy, and you're going to want to take one paper towel and fold it into quarters. So everybody give me a little thumbs up when you're ready, okay? That would be great. So Annie has authored about 30 books, and she has some pretty awesome books. If you come into the store, I know her books, her books are beautiful. They give you step by step. There's one in particular, I don't know if you can see it, Annie paints everything, and she tells you everything you can paint. You can paint, are we all ready? Everybody's ready?
Good.
Okay, let me just tell you. So you can paint tile, you can paint glass, you can paint metal, you can paint linoleum, you can paint concrete, you can paint kitchen cabinets and wood and laminate and all these things. So and fabric, you can paint fabric on a chair. So she's got some awesome books, but the ones that I love are called The Colorist. And in fact, they're on our website, so if you want just, it's not The Colorist, excuse me, it is The Colorist. It's called a bookazine, and it's a magazine that has no advertisement, and so it is just full of inspiration. And Annie just, some of it's Annie, and some of it's artists that she knows and has featured, and they're just awesome. So, all right, so here we are. I think all of us are at the same point. So we have a stencil, and we're just gonna place it in here, and just place it so that the bottom of it is just resting against the edge, and that way we really don't have to tape it down, and we can just hold it in place with our hand, with our fingers as we go. I'm gonna move this over here. I'm left-handed, and so I have to move everything over. Can we all still see everything there? Okay, well, we're gonna move this over. And you're probably wondering why I'm keeping my Scandinavian pink, even though I used it as my base color. But as we go along, I'm going to mix a little bit of my Scandinavian pink with my Chicago gray or with my Aubusson, and we're gonna just change it up a little bit just to give us some shadowing and some dimension to our stencil. So we all have this brush. Technically, this is a stencil brush, but we did not have, we got the paintbrush and not the stencil brush, but technically this is the brush you would want to do a stencil with. And the reason it's a stencil brush is that it's flat and it's very dense. And what the technique and the motion for stenciling is to come in here and to come around like this. So we kind of, some people do just straight up and down. I kind of do little swirls. I find I get better coverage that way. And one of the things I didn't tell you about as we were painting, it's easiest to hold our brushes closer to the base of the brush where the metal is. Makes it a little easier on our hands, but we are going to use it. And actually, I want you to come even closer down here with the tips of the bristles, and I want you to pull them in, kind of create a little, just make them a little denser so they don't kind of flop out on you. And we're going to come in here, and I am going to start with my Chicago gray. And I'm going to dab in. We're not really going to use very much paint for this at all, but what I want you to do is come over here. Can you all see that? I want you to dab off. Kind of work it in a little bit to the bristles, and then we're going to come over here, right next to that, and just dab off a lot of the excess paint. Leave that a little bit this side. So dab off a little bit. Come up here, and I'm just going to hold this in place, and that's what I want you to do. Just hold it in place. We'll come up here, and we're going to just swirl it around. And that's why I want you to hold your bristles, is because that's kind of hard to do when they're flopping around on you. Come in here. I'm just going to come around. Need a little more paint. Just dab in and get a little more. Okay. So, let me just show you what you're looking for. And as long as you hold your stencil in the same spot, you can lift it up and check it. So you can see there's some Chicago gray. And if it moves on you, just put it back where it belongs, like I did there. Now, if I wanted to, and this is where everybody gets to be their own creative genius. Put a little bit of the Aubusson here. And I really do not rinse out my brush between any of this. Like I said, I like the texture that the mixing of the colors gives you. So I don't mind that I have the Paris gray or the Chicago gray on there. And then I'm going to come up here, and what do I want to do? Let's see. I'm going to do these right below. And you can already see that the Chicago gray is making my Aubusson blue just a little bit lighter, and I really am okay with that. So you're just gonna follow it around and do any of the spaces that you want to be. You just change up your color whenever you want. And every one of these is gonna look different. There isn't a right, there isn't a wrong way to do it. As far as color, you get to be in control. I like that. So, a little more of this, and I'm just gonna keep going along. And if I come into where this little pink area, it's not pink, it's the Chicago gray. If I come into there where it overlaps, to me, that just gives texture, and I like it even better. So, we're just gonna do it. So everybody, this is what we're gonna do for about 5 minutes. And, because it really doesn't take a whole long time. So we're just gonna do, what am I gonna do, Hannah? I'm gonna do over here. Oh, look, I got a really pretty little baby blue color. There is just a little tiny bit of the Aubusson in the gray, and now it's like a little soft baby blue. So again, I have to turn it. I'm left-handed, and I can't, the edge of that is just a problem. All right. Which I really like. So I'm going to do that again. Alright. It takes just a smidge of the Aubusson to be in the gray to give us that soft baby blue. And let me tell you, so the paint mixes really, really pretty. All of the colors are on Annie's color wheel. They are like artists, like painters, colors, and so they blend really beautiful because they're pure pigment. They retain their depth of color, and they don't get washed out in muddy and gray, and so you can mix any of these colors and they just look beautiful together. That's one of the things I love to do. I love all of Annie's colors, but I do like to mix colors. Do something a little different once in a while. And if you find that you want like pure color, then rinse your brush out in between, but make sure you get all the excess water out of it on a paper towel, because if the paint is too wet, it will it'll want to slide under the stencil. It'll be a little too wet and go under the stencil there. Okay. And sometimes, you know, you can be very, very specific and make sure that you get every little space that's inside an area, and other times you don't have to get all of it. It's really just up to you. You get to be in control. So I'm gonna come over here. How's everybody doing with this? Does this feel comfortable to you? If you want to respond to Hannah, go ahead. If you don't, that's okay too. Do this. And this one I think is going to be a little more gray. Didn't add quite so much blue, and that's good. So the stencil brush does make the stenciling a little easier, but it's certainly doable with the flat brush that we're using. Okay, and let's see, I think I want to use Aubusson down here, and I want it to be pretty true Aubusson this time. And we're gonna get some change in color here. Aubusson is one of my favorite colors of Annie's. I use it frequently, just because I just love the blue-green color. So I tend to use it quite a bit. Oh, I should tell you, there's exciting news. This last week, Annie came out with a new color. It's called Capri Pink. It's a bright pink. You probably see the sign on the back up there, but it is really, really pretty. And I use this with some Aubusson on a piece of furniture that's in the store, and it turned out pretty awesome. So you'll have to come in and check that out. Look at that, how gorgeous. Is everybody relaxing doing this? I hope so. You're having a fun time. So before I forget, we're gonna get some other workshops on the schedule, and the next one that we're gonna be doing is on the 20th, and I'm gonna post that tomorrow. We'll be doing a sign workshop, and that will be fun. And I think we're gonna do that one in person because it's a little more complicated. And so we'll do it in the white side, and we'll social distance and all of that. And we'll do it at a time when we can get a cup of coffee, and then the store will be closed, and we can all do our little workshop in the evening. And so keep your eyes open for that. There's this. Is everybody doing okay with the stenciling? Again, it doesn't take a lot of the paint to do the stenciling, so when we are finished, you're gonna have quite a bit of paint left over of each of them, and you can mix them together if you want to do something else with them, or you can just use them as they are. Whoops, I got a little paint there. I'm gonna fix that up in a minute. 1 little liter of paint will paint a small side table, a little nightstand. It covers about 18 square feet with 1 coat of paint, but if you're gonna do 2, it's about 9. So keep that in mind. That's kind of what a little sample pot will do. If you have a little bit of a bigger project and you want to create a color, you could buy 2 little sample pots and then paint something a little bit bigger. Definitely can do a little project with a little sample pot. And for the most part, we keep all of the colors in the store. Every once in a while, I know this last summer we had, hurricanes in places and things like that, and so our paint got a little delayed, but for the most part, we try to keep everything in stock. So you can come in and grab a paint and go home the same day, because you don't have to do all prep work and you can go home and paint. That to me is the best part, because when I don't know about you, but when the mood strikes me to do a project, I want to do it right then. I don't want to wait to get going with it. I'm just bad about that. I just like to get going. So, all right, Hannah. So you're here, and I know that you've painted some projects, and you always are asking me questions. What were some of the questions that you had? I feel like you had some the other day for me. Are they things I haven't covered here today?
Some of them. I always like to know about the paper towel, but we can get to that when we wax.
Yeah.
What do you recommend if people get paint that seeps under their stencil? Can they touch it up real easily?
Oh yeah.
Or what should
Actually,
they do?
with that, I would just use a little tiny, little artist brush like this. Or I'm going to show you, because right here, if you see mine, I got a little paint extra, and I'm going to just dab my finger in my paint and rub it over. So you could even just use your finger. But one of these little artist brushes will take care of it. If you don't fix it, that's okay too. Unless it's, really like something that you're just really unhappy with. Alright, let's get a little mixture off of there.
Do you normally recommend 2 coats of paint, like for bookshelves and stuff? And why did we not do 2 coats on the tray?
That's a great question. Okay, so today we only did 1 coat of paint because this is raw wood and it was light, and the colors that we are using covered really well with 1 coat of paint. Quite often when you're doing larger projects, you might have areas where it's a little bit lighter as you brush, and you're using your brush strokes. Some areas will have more paint and some will have less. And so you might see some high and low areas. I call them high and low. It's just where the paint is a little thin. And if that's the case, then you'll want that second coat. And on our second coat of paint, when you're painting furniture, you would, so your first coat of paint, you paint it right out of the can just like we did. On your second coat of paint, you might add a little bit of water to this, and sometimes I just use a little squirt bottle and give it a little squirt like this, just like that. And I don't necessarily stir it in. The only colors I would stir the paint into would be Oxford Navy and Athenian. And the reason for that is because they are such deep colors that you will get kind of streaking, because you'll have water that won't have as much pigment in it, and then you won't be happy with that. So with that, stir it all the way in. Even those cans of paint, those are 2 that you want to stir really well when you open the can. But we're not using those today, so you could just, as you dip your brush in, you get a little bit of water and you get a little paint, and the second coat of paint is just like quick. It doesn't even take a long time. You just want to get a little bit of coverage. But today we covered this really, really well with 1 coat of paint. So those would be your exceptions. So I have finished the center of mine. So what I'm going to do is lift up my stencil if I can. I'm gonna lift it up, and there we have what I know, isn't that pretty?
I love that.
I haven't done this color, and I'm like, oh, I like it. Look at the light blue that we created with the gray and
I really like that one.
everything. And then we've got darker, where it's just more Aubusson and looks nice. So I'm just gonna show you real quick. I'm gonna dab my finger in here. I did get a little bit of paint right in here. Can you see that, Hannah? Can you see that I got a little bit of paint there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a little bit of paint on my finger. I'm just gonna go back over that like that. That's all I need to do. Okay, so I did that. Now, earlier when we did our other stencil, we kind of stopped there, but since then, I just got a little more creative, and I decided I'm gonna do some of these on the outside. So you guys are welcome to keep going if you want to. We can do some stenciling out here on the outside of our box, which is really pretty too. Just kind of give a little more interest, which we like. We're gonna do that. The stencil, because we don't use a lot of paint here, stencils are probably dry really, really fast. So we just do a little bit on the outside. You could actually, how did I do this yesterday? I took my stencil and I started with it. I started with it inside. And then, how did I do that? Here. I did it like this. So I started here and I'm just gonna do the little flower. Just get a little bit there. And then I just tipped it and did it right up on the edge. So my flower looks like it's coming up over the edge. There.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, just, you can, again, be as creative as you want to be. So let me tell you, we can stop here with just our inside, and then if you all want to add to the outside, I don't know how we are for time. Do you know how?
It's 6:45, so.
Okay, so we're doing okay for time. If we want to do a little more, we can. But even after we've waxed, you could do some more stenciling. So if you get finished and you're just like, I think I want to do that, just lay your stencil down, do some stenciling, put a little wax over it when you're done. So that's the really fun part of all this, is you get to do what you like. So I'm gonna just do all that. This one up here.
That blue gray is so pretty.
I know, isn't it? Yeah. Because I did the gray and the blue on those, we did more of the pink, and so this is very different, and I love it. Flower here. Do something on the end. Actually, I'm gonna do that whole flower over there. Okay, let's start with some gray. So is everybody having fun? This part to me is like, oh, we can just keep on going. Sometimes it's hard to say when we should stop. Are you hearing the weird noises I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I
The
think
ice
our coffee
machine.
and ice machine are doing some weird things in here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the coffee grinder, so I'm happy. That thing is really, really noisy.
Yeah, sounds like ice cubes dropping or something.
It probably is. So, let me think what else. So like I said, at the end of this, we're gonna put a wax on over the top. And that is what makes it really strong and really durable. And it also gives it a little bit of waterproof. Oh, look at that one. Ooh, look at that one.
Mm-hmm. That one's really pretty.
Gives it a little bit of water protection. It does not give it, so if you're waxing, say a coffee table or your dining room table, you don't want to leave the water on the table for a long time. You know, it gives it a little bit of repellent, it'll bead up a little bit, but if you leave those beads, it will penetrate the wax, but it will also do that with lacquer. So this is just common kind of, you just don't leave a cup of water on most tables, but it'll give you some protection so you can clean it up without worrying that it's gonna ruin it. But the beautiful thing about wax is that because if you do choose to wax and say you got a ding or a little water spot or something like that, I have actually sanded, cleaned off where the wax was with the odorless mineral spirits, and then I have come in and repainted that area and re-waxed, and you could not tell. So it's really forgiving that way. kids and things like that, it's nice to know that you can do that. And that is something you can't just do with the lacquer, because if you get a chip or you get water under there, and most of the time it will dissipate off. But if for some reason it didn't, you can touch it up. So in a way, to me, the wax is better for that purpose too. So I like this very much. And again, you all can paint the bottom if you feel like doing that after, you can do that. So we keep on going. I'm just gonna keep stenciling. You all let me know when you're finished with your stenciling, and then we'll move on to the next step. When you're happy with it, just let me know. I enjoy this very much. I think everything is dry. Except for where I touched it. That was fun. I like the Scandinavian pink. I'm glad I did it in a different color. So let's see, what else do I need to talk about? I don't know. I'm not usually at a loss for words. I don't know where.
Where are we
Have
going?
you noticed that about me? No, I'm usually not. What other questions do you have? I know you said you had some wax questions, but
Right.
we'll answer those in a few when we get to the waxing. I guess one of my questions is, has everyone painted with Annie Sloan before, or is this your first time that you've used Annie Sloan chalk paint? So when you're finished with your stenciling, let me know if it's your first time, and let me know that you're finished with your stencils, okay? All right, I'm gonna move those up to there.
When closing off those cans, do you have to do anything special so the paint doesn't get crusty?
That's a good thing. When you close your can of paint, I would recommend that if you're going to store it for very long, I mean, if you're going to use it in the next month, you probably don't need to do this, but if you're going to store it for a little while, add a little water to the top so that if your lid is a little askew to where it is not going to fit back on really, really tight. Sometimes they get bent a little bit, or you get paint in the rim and then they don't fit nicely back on. Just add that little bit of water. Most of the time I can just press these down and then it's on pretty good. You don't really need a hammer or anything like that. And that usually does it. Probably the biggest problem is when you get paint in the rim of the can. I would say if you can get that out, that's probably a good idea. So, and with the bigger cans, I cannot just press them on. So I tend to use the back of my wax brush, because it's flat. There we go.
Lori has tried watched one of Annie's videos where she overlapped her stencil in colors, and it was amazing, and she's tried it.
Ooh.
So she has used the paint before.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and Annie has these new stencils. Let me just grab one or two, because they're really pretty. This one is my favorite. I have not used it just yet. This one here is my favorite. It's just like wildflowers, and she calls them meadow flowers. And these are really pretty, and they're like this long row of flowers, and these are the ones that you kind of, little filler flowers, and they are really, really pretty. And then she's got the birds. So these are just new. We just got these, gosh, a month ago or so. Those are really fun. So we got new paint, we got new stencils. She's just got all kinds of things up her sleeve that I'm enjoying. Now, if you're finished with your painting, go ahead and rinse your brush out or put it in your cup of water. You can put your paintbrushes in your cup of water for a little while. I wouldn't leave them in there overnight or anything like that. Just a short amount of time while you're finishing up your project. But if you can do the get them rinsed out. You just don't want to leave them in the water. They will get a little rusty on you, and they're nice brushes, and so if you take care of them, they'll last you forever. So, okay, so is everybody ready to move on to our next step, or are we still painting?
We don't have any thumbs up yet, so I'd give it maybe a minute.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Then I'm just gonna paint a little more. I'm going to do this one out here. Look at that. It's just so easy. Stenciling is just so easy. It's a very quick way to add interest and dimension, and just fun. And you don't have to be a professional painter. Whoops.
Let's see. I think our stand just died.
Oh dear. It's plugged in, isn't it?
Yes, give me 1 second as
Okay, Hannah's got technical difficulties.
Well, let's see. That is so funny. Alright. I might have to unplug it for a second. Alright, it's gonna be all lopsided for a second.
Hang in there with us. I'm glad Hannah's doing this because, oh, there, I just saw a green light.
Should realign. Let's see.
Do you see the green light come on?
Yeah. Well, I might just have to hold it for a little bit. So if you guys have questions, I'm just gonna read them and I might not comment back. But all right, well, we can keep going. All right.
Are we good?
I think we're probably good. If they did thumbs up, I didn't see them.
Okay. So if you're not quite finished, you just listen and you can catch up to us in a few minutes. It's not, the waxing is not really, really difficult. It just is something new that most of us haven't done before, because we just, in the United States, we just haven't used this technique and that Annie had designed. And so this is what we need. Now I know you probably all just have regular paper towels, and that will work for this little project, but when you do your big project, you'll want these other paper towels. They're like shop towels. They're a little thicker, they're low lint, and they will just be a little more effective for waxing. You all have a little, where's my little can? Here it is. So this is a can of wax, and I decided to show you my big can of wax. And I'm not going to open my little one because I think you could see this better. This is our wax. This is a wax brush, and this is what we would, you know, if you're going to do furniture, I would say this is this is definitely the right tool. But for a little project like this, if this is all you're going to do, then you can use a towel, which we're going to do tonight. And but if you ever decide you want to paint furniture, that is the correct tool. And I'm going to do some with the paper towel first, and then I'm just going to show you how easy it is to do it with the brush. So what we're gonna do, wrap that towel around your hand and then dab in and get some of your wax on it. If you find it's too hard to get your hand in your little can, a little spoon or something, you can scoop some out and put it on a plate. Or you could put some on your mat if you had it, a paper plate. You could even put some on your little stencil here, it would be fine. Well, maybe not your stencil because it's got paint on it. Not a good one, but just you can get a little bit on here. And what we're gonna do is wax. And what we are looking for when we wax is for the wax to absorb into our paint. So this is flat and porous. It's gonna absorb in, and kind of liken it to hand cream. We put hand cream on, whatever absorbs into our hands, that's what we leave. And the rest of it, we find a Kleenex or something and wipe it off, right? So this is just like what we're doing here. So look how, right away you can see where I've put wax because it changes the color. It makes it more vibrant and dark, and you can see exactly where you're at. So we're gonna just put our wax on. And over I'm gonna just do like half of it. So if you were painting or waxing a larger piece of furniture, I would say do a space. If you're doing it with paper towels, do a space about 12 by 12. So about the center of this, maybe a little bit more. You can do that. So I've put wax on, and now I'm gonna wipe my excess wax off with a clean paper towel. Okay, and all you're doing is rubbing it off, and it's absorbing into my towel. Do you see how my towel is now darker blue? That's what I like about that too, is I can see where I have wax on my towel, and I can see that I need to fold it to a clean spot. So you're just wiping it off. Now, I still do this, even though I've been waxing for quite a while. I run my hand over it. If wax comes off on my fingers, then I know I need to wipe just a little bit more. The idea is that it only takes a very thin coat, and so we don't need all that excess wax on. Well, and it will be, you don't want it to be coming off on your clothes or anything like that. So you want to get all that excess off. Now, if you didn't get all your excess wax off, it will cure. It will just take a little bit longer. So I'm going to just show you with the brush. Like, to me, I just go really quickly with the brush and dab it in those corners and things like that. So that's kind of why I like the brush as a little bit better. But the towel works just fine like that. And we're just wiping off our excess. And again, this gives us durability, gives a really nice finish coat. Once this is cured, it will just be nice and soft and really durable. So that's what we're looking for. So we're just gonna go ahead and everybody wax all the way around. And again, this is something a lot of us haven't done before. And so if you have any questions, if I haven't explained it very well, or you need a little more clarification, just type it in there for Hannah. And she can answer or ask me the question. So we're just gonna go all the way around and on the outside as well. You can see I'm just putting it on. This is one of those, every time I say you put wax on and then you take the excess off, people are like, wax on, wax off. Hannah probably doesn't know what that's from because she's a little on the young side. Do you know what it's from, Hannah?
Karate Kid.
No, you do know Karate Kid. So I have a lot of people say that, and yes, that's what we're doing.
Oh, Allie, I'm so glad that you're enjoying this. Kathy loves teaching these workshops.
You're fun. I'm looking forward to actually doing workshops in person again. We have so missed our customers. a lot of you all have been in the store and we just love seeing you, but doing workshops in the store is kind of fun. So we're looking forward to that again, and again we will, you know, social distance and do those things. We will be happy when it's over and we can just freely have workshops. So I'm just gonna keep on going. Now, also, when, if you like a little bit of shine to your wax, you can, I'm gonna just keep waxing while I'm talking. You can actually buff it. Let me show you what that looks like. Let me get this wax on this little side here. Let me get that excess off. You can see right there, like I'm wiping it. I know I have way too much right there. So I'm just gonna wipe it. Now I have all my excess off. So if I were going to buff a piece of furniture, I would get a clean towel and I would just hold it, and this is hand pressure. This isn't, I'm not pressing down hard or anything, and all you're gonna do is just rub back and forth. And what you are doing is creating friction, and the friction makes the wax kind of settle out. It's not gonna really buff up yet because it needs about an hour to sit, to get a little top coat on it, and then when you do the buffing, it'll shine up. So you can do it 1 to 24 hours after you've waxed to get that little bit of shine. I don't do that very often, but some people just like that, and if you do, that's how you would do that. And then we're just gonna finish waxing, and make sure you put a little wax in here, because this is where, if you pick it up, you're gonna have, you know, just natural oils on your hand. And that way you give that, even that little area where the handle is, a little protection. And it also feels good. It feels better than the flat paint to me. So again, I missed a spot there and I missed a spot here. And you can tell because the color is lighter. It doesn't have that deep vibrancy to it. So just wipe your excess off, and then we come around and we put some wax on this side. And also don't forget to do your little edge up here. Get all of that. And we just turn it to a clean spot. Wipe my excess off. I think this is my last side. Once you get the hang of waxing, it will go fast for you, but I know it's a little slow, you know, when you start, because you're just not sure, like, how to get the excess off, or did you get enough, that kind of thing, but you'll get faster at it. And again, the brush even makes it faster. It applies it more evenly, and you can just do a larger area quicker than you can do with the towel. I just think I just have my edge to do. I'm just gonna put a little bit on. This. And now just say, for instance, I know no one's gonna say this, I know, but just for instance, you got this all finished and you just really decided this isn't the color you wanted it to be. You really want the tray to be, you know, the Aubusson Blue. You could paint right over this. And then you just re-wax it again and go through the whole process again, but you don't have to remove the wax or do anything like that. You can just pick right up and paint right over it. So, there we have it. How's everybody doing with the waxing? Are we doing okay? Can you see that? If I bring it over?
Yeah, perfect.
Does anybody have any questions? Do you see any?
No questions yet.
All right, well, Hannah's holding the camera, so her computer's over here, and Now she is,
Yeah, so the camera's a little bit more shaky.
I'm sure you're
But-
doing just fine. So again, so I have paint on me, and I think I got some, yes I did, I got some on my shirt here, so tonight I'm gonna go home and wash that out. Again, you can wash it out. Scrubby soaps are awesome. They clean your hands really nice, and they just make your hands really soft too. So those are great. So this is my finished. I would love to see pictures. If you all could take a picture of your tray and post it to us.
If you post it on Facebook, if you do a hashtag big paint, Annie Sloan will also see your finished tray. So yeah, if you just do that, we'll be able to see it, and we love seeing what people do.
Yeah, and again, like people have done this all over the world, and so I just think this is what we were given, but everybody's is going to look a little different. People might have blended these two colors together, and this paint, the main body of it may be a different color. There's just like endless. You could do it any way you like. So I think it's going to be fun to see how people did it, and Annie will be just tickled pink with everybody posting their pictures and doing that. So is everybody finished? And does anybody have any questions? Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, any questions about chalk paint in general?
Yeah. Yes, in general.
Yeah.
Anything, that you might have a question about, I want to answer all of those. And if you don't have questions, that's okay. For just a minute, I'm just gonna tell you. So if you were in the store last week, we had a huge sale, and we are down to like one rack that's like 6 feet long of clothing that is winter. And Danae just filled our store with new spring clothes. And we are so excited because, well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for spring.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, spring could start the day after Christmas, and I would be really happy with that. So anyway, she's got some really sweet clothes, so come in. And she's also, if you have a moment, we were doing our workshop, but she did try-ons tonight, so if you get a chance, you'll see some of them because she did some try-ons, and it'll be fun. So we hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had a really good time and that you will use your tray and love it, and come see us soon. Thanks.